Anyway, so thank you for asking. Well, for sure, yeah, but she's right. Her spirits are good. And, of course, she doesn't drive anymore, so that's what I work days. We figured, Karen's doing it. Well, we're gonna have to
for one thing, there's yeah.
But it's fine
Listen, the idea is that you have a budget.
I do. Yeah. I'll let her know that. Certainly.
I was gonna say,
He's having 3 cabinets. Trent has a separate wing. Where do you go now? Members. And there's a charge, but you're there. Good to see you. So yeah, if they come, they can get 15-minute window. They come anywhere in there. You got to be there just 5 minutes.
What's the page, Charles?
hello, my love. How are you?
Numbers if it's the bus. But they're different.
Hello, sir.
Allow you.
Well, right? That always happens.
I get up and say,
Like getting January.
Yeah.
try to think it is.
I appreciate the reminder.
So I do it 4 days. 1 day every day. Start at 6.
No, it is.
Just not the way you thought. Thank you. It's good to see you. I've been, yeah. Well, 2 things. What's wrong with you? Try to refresh the refrigerator. It's all good to see you back.
Don't we know about it?
Until like 7:30. So I think.
We just keep it.
Oh, okay.
I still would have won. Or she didn't know about it at the end of the day of training, but then, my
Oh, really?
We'll get away from it.
environmental things.
Yeah. Wow.
Councilmember Brandon, can you hear us? Make sure. I want to make sure we can hear her too before we start. You're on mute, Lori. We just want to make sure we can hear you. Okay, there's her hand. She's there. Okay. All right, it is 6 p.m. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. It's February 12th, 2026, and it's our regular council meeting. Lori, can I get roll call?
Mayor Young,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sartori,
Here.
Councilmember Brandon, attending via Zoom.
Here.
Councilmember Painter, Councilmember French.
Here.
Thank you, Lori. And our invocation and pledge will be led by Councilmember French.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. If you could please bow your heads and join me in prayer. God, thank you for these freedoms and luxuries where we're able to come here and serve in the village today, come here before you. God, we thank you for the challenges you set before us, and we ask that you grant us the patience and wisdom to manage these challenges. God, please continue to look over us, look over our village, our family. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'd like to get a motion to approve tonight's agenda with one amendment. We'll be removing agenda item 15, which is council consideration for night work approval, partial lane closure at Tequesta Drive and Seabrook Road. We anticipate to bring that back in March.
I'll move approval of the agenda, removing item number 15.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, we don't have any formal presentations tonight on the agenda, but I would like to kick off tonight by recognizing and thanking Councilmember French for his 2 years of service to Tequesta. Councilmember French really just jumped in head first, always coming to our meetings prepared and always willing to listen and learn. And he also was very engaged and active in the community, not just in Tequesta, but also with a lot of our relevant stakeholders that are important to build those relationships with. And you're always putting the best foot forward for Tequesta. So, you know, public service is a true commitment. Those of us that serve up here know that. So I do just want to thank your family for their support of you during your time here. So with that, we have a little token of appreciation on behalf of council for your dedication and service.
very much. Thank you.
Would you like to say anything?
You know, for a moment there after the Pledge of Allegiance, I kind of forgot this was the last kind of official meeting, until you start speaking. So that was kind of funny and surprising for a moment. But thank you for those kind words. I really enjoyed the last 2 years being able to serve up here on council. I've enjoyed the residents, the staff, and the council members on the dais as well. I think this is an extremely special place, not just to live, but to work and serve also. I think up here on the council, it's an amazing thing that we're able to vote in different ways, yes or no, against each other, and then on the next subject, we really come right back and then go back to neutral, and there's no vindictive or unprofessional behavior up here. It's really an amazing thing to see, and I think we set an example for not only the village, but other municipalities around on how government can operate professionally, efficiently, and be productive at the same time. So thank you all for your hard work and effort to get here.
Thank you. Okay, now moving on to business. Next up is our consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, communication from citizens for items that are not on tonight's agenda. Lori, do we have any cards?
Harold Taylor.
Harold Taylor, 13 Chapel Court here at Tequesta. I have comments on what's been happening at Hannah's home for the past year or so. The contractor over there seems to have done everything piecemeal. Generally, after having worked construction for 28 years, you clear everything first. You do your grading next. You put in your utilities. They've done everything piecemeal. There's still, I guess, some grading to go and a whole lot of weeds and shrubs and everything over there that needs to be removed. Why it isn't being done yet, I don't know, unless they're leaving it up to the landscape contractor to finish clearing that property. Just a strange way to have it, for the outfit to have it done. Next thing, the village of Tequesta. I don't know whether you don't like the contractor over there or what the deal is, but apparently the village has forced that contractor to put in sod on either side of all their sidewalks. Haven't talked to anybody in the last, I don't want to say a week, but walked the property down yesterday again, and you can see how they're watering all the sod. They got garden hoses out there with sprinklers on the end. Why would anybody in the village force a contractor to put in some landscape material before the sprinkler system's installed? That doesn't make any sense. That's either being downright stupid or plain vindictive, or both. Somebody in the village ought to be reprimanded for doing that. That's just not a way to treat a contractor trying to complete a job here in the village. Doesn't make sense. Putting in grass either side of the sidewalk, how does that help anybody? Anybody that's visiting there, our own workers, walk on the sidewalk. They don't work on the grass. Like I said, somebody ought to be reprimanded. That's just not the way you treat contractors. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Harold, and not to put Wayne on the spot, but our building official's here. I don't know if he'd be happy to step outside with you. I'm sure he can answer some of your questions, or you guys could connect maybe tomorrow. Thank you.
No need to do that.
Okay.
I mean, I've made my comments. What you people do in the village after
Okay,
I say
Harold.
to you.
Thank you. Any other cards? Nope. Okay. Moving on to communications from council. Council, anything to share tonight?
I would tell you, I'm excited for the February 20th 80s dance and roller jam. When that popped up, I was like, I'm in. I hope they allow rollerblades. I'm just saying that there's not too many chances I get to do that. So, very excited.
You still own rollerblades, wow.
I'm not going to admit it to a lot of people here, but we'll see.
Oh, Councilmember Brandon?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. French, it's been a pleasure sitting next to you. Thank you for serving with us for 2 years. You have been very involved, and I greatly appreciate you doing some travel for the village as well when needed. Piggybacking on Parks and Rec, I just want to say thank you guys for always creating these senior events, and I hope you guys keep doing them, especially since we do them during the day. I can't tell you how important they are, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to piggyback what's been said about Jason. Jason has been a blessing to this village to sit up here. The way he looks at things is different than I do, for sure. And I don't think people realize the amount of preparation that he does. He goes out and he interviews tenants, potential tenants, people that are complaining. He finds out, kind of the point to the counterpoint. And that's a refreshing thing to hear all the time. So you've always been prepared. You will be definitely missed. I think, as the mayor had said, it is a family commitment when you do this. So to your family and to Jess and the girls, thank you. They say all politics is local, and it is. And people in Tequesta are just as passionate about what happens here as they are at the county level and at the state level and at the national level. And it's tough to make those decisions, but that's what we were, elected to do. And we will continue to do that. And Jason, I just applaud every decision that you've made. While we didn't agree all the time, you clearly laid out your position and why you were saying what you've done. And I think that is the most transparent thing we can ever ask for in an elected official. So thank you very much for your commitment.
Thank you, Becky.
I think the only update I have is I was lucky enough to go up to Tallahassee twice in January, and it was a very productive trip. I was able to meet with several of not just our district legislators, but also others in Palm Beach County, and talk about what some of the village's priorities are this year. And then I was able to waive in favor for one of the committees that our local bill for Tequesta Park was heard in, and I was able to also testify at a House committee meeting. So that was the first time I have done that. That was quite the experience. But I just want to thank the manager too, and I know staff helps. Like, there's weekly, I almost feel like we're either getting an email from Florida League of Cities or the lobbyists, and they're sending emails advocating for or against certain bills that are moving through. So just thank you for your work this session so far, because I know it's just adds on to the pile of work we already have to do. But I think we've been doing a great job, and we've made some progress so far this session. So. All right, moving on to our standard reports. Village Attorney.
No report, but I will echo what others have said. It's been a pleasure working with you, Councilmember French, both here and up in Orlando at the Florida League of Cities meetings that we both attended from time to time. So thank you for allowing me to serve with you.
Thank you.
Village Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Kind of piggybacking what you were saying, for anybody keeping score, last night our House bill which transfers ownership from from the state of Florida for Tequesta parts of the village of Tequesta passed unanimously through the House floor. So now it'll be sent over to the Senate for a Senate vote. We expect that to be in 2 to 3 weeks, and so it is moving still. And so we're very excited about that. We're not getting too far out in front because we still got a ways to go. We are nearing completion of our pickleball tennis courts. We have painted one side of it. Now we'll move to the other side, so we'll have new courts that are open now while we finish the other side. I was recently notified Dover, the Dover Road Seabrook intersection that was closed yesterday for the water main is open back up now. With the, we patched the road and everything is back up, and just want to appreciate that team, how quickly they moved as always, but I think it's important just to recognize that team and how fast they move, and then Doug's crew right behind them with a contractor fixing that. We have a really great team here, and it just shows in times like that to be able to get that water on so quickly. And get the testing done so we can get them drinking water back as soon as we can too. February 16th, it is a recognized holiday, so next Monday we will be closed. March 2nd is the next Village Council workshop. And then, I have an interesting perspective on council because I work closely with him, and and I've told him privately, I really appreciate Councilmember French and what he's done for me. He's awfully helped me look at things differently. He's always prepared. We've had hours of conversation, and usually it goes by really quick. And just appreciate you and your time here on council, and wish you nothing but the best, in the future, and we'll see what that holds. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any questions for the manager?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Brandon? Nope.
No questions, Mayor.
All right, next up, Police Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Councilmember French, congratulations and thank you for your service. You've been a great pleasure to work with, so we thank you on behalf of the Police Department.
Thank you, Chief.
You all have our monthly report, just a couple of highlights. As usual, our civilian firearms continues. Miss Marcia told me she is registered for the next class, so I'm excited to see how well she does. We're doing very well with that. We've actually upped the amount of people at a time. It used to be 10. We're scheduling 13, but once in a while someone has to drop out for whatever reason, but we've increased the amount of people with that, and it's filled for a very long time. But if any residents want to come in, they could always reach out and we'll make space for them. So our COPs and Explorers, I just want to give them a big thank you for everything they do. For Tequesta Fest, they were out there volunteering like always. Today, Juno Beach had their national night out, and we have some of our Explorers out there with Corporal Pruitt as well. So Sergeant Tequesta performed security assessments for the Water Department and Public Works. Sergeant Tequesta does a great job. He's accepted, certified, which is crime prevention through environmental design. He does a phenomenal job. We also offer that to the residents, no cost whatsoever. We put it out every so often, but we'll probably highlight it once again just to see if anyone wants to put security cameras out, best places, how high their bushes should be, and anything in regards to safety around the home. So that's something else that we offer our residents. And that's all that I have, unless you all have any questions.
Any questions for the chief?
No, Chief, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brandon?
No, Mayor.
Fire Department.
Good evening, everybody. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Mr. French, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your counsel, talking to me about fire stuff and just everything else on the sun. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
Kind of a steady month. We're getting back after the holidays, lots of meetings. We've had a couple public events. We had to take a kid to school. If somebody could scroll to the pictures on that. There you go. This is a big event. We do about 4 or 5 of these a year. The kids love it. And it also raises money for one of our charities, so it's a good thing. Dave does a great job with it, and I got to go on a couple of them so far. It's a really good time. So we started this training at Palm Beach Gardens. We have a great partnership with them with the use of their facility. The guys have been out there on the weekends, so we don't interfere with anybody else. It helps with our ISO standing. We are also working with Tequesta Country Club. I think I mentioned this last month. When they start demo, we're going to be able to do some live hands-on stuff with those buildings, which is invaluable for our people, and we'll probably invite some of the neighboring departments over to help after, of course, we tear everything up. We'll let them have whatever's left. So I have been meeting with Palm Beach County and Jupiter for their upcoming going into service on October 1. Everything is moving in the right direction. I'm kind of just eating popcorn and watching those two have their moments. So. And we also joined them and Del Rey for some joint extrication training in Lake Worth. It was a great day. The guys got a lot of hands-on stuff, so out there doing what we do. We have a few things upcoming that I got across the finish line. We did. It was after this I posted, so we do have the AED going into service at the pickleball courts at Tequesta Park. It will be here by the end of the month. It's going to have an all-weather case, and for vandalism, burglary, weather, the whole bit. So we're excited about that, and we're going to make sure that we have some classes for hands-only CPR as well, and an AED orientation course that we're going to put on probably in March. They will be free, probably 24 to 26 people per night, and it'll be run over the course of 2 weeks. So that'll be on our website very soon. Lieutenant's exam's coming. We're going to have a couple of openings, which is great. and then we have a retiree of a captain. So we're going to have a big turnover of 6 officers. There could be potentially 3 new officers in the next year and a half. So that's a big deal for the village and for the fire department. And that's probably it. Any questions?
Any questions for the chief?
Chief, thank you.
Councilmember Brandon?
No questions.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Utilities Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I just want to start by saying, Councilmember French, it hasn't been a long time, but it has been a pleasure, so thank you very much. Going through our update, Dover Ditch, the project did reach final completion with the last pay application being processed this coming Friday. The sod, we understand, is an issue, but we did have that recent freeze and there's not a lot of rain, so we're going to complete that under warranty work and change that out when the weather gets a little bit better. The stormwater pipelining for this fiscal year is on the agenda for tonight, which also includes our pond inlet and outlet inspections. Surficial Aquifer Well 28 design and construction. We have the driller mobilizing to the water treatment plant this week to complete the drilling of the test well to ensure that we're picking the proper location for that new well. When it comes to the water treatment plants, the improvements, we are working with the engineer to complete some redesign and change of scope as a result of our pivot for PFAS treatment and ensuring that whatever money we're investing right now, we're doing that responsibly and selecting the correct improvements that will last us through those initiatives to maintain compliance. Our filter media replacement in our pressurized vessels is almost complete. They did empty out the media in the last 2 vessels this week, so inspections are underway. Then we will complete repairs and then fill it up with new media, and then that project will be closing out. Our membrane replacement project was finished last Friday, so we will be scheduling our substantial completion walkthrough as well. We have seen a pretty large decrease in our feed water pressure, so we do anticipate seeing some energy cost savings resulting from that project. Our water treatment master plan, we had a workshop this week with Kimley Horn to go over minor retrofits that we can implement in the coming next 5 years to ensure that we meet compliance with the PFAS standards, and then kind of starting to see what the expansion of the RO will look like. But that was just the first phase, so there still are about 2 more phases of this workshop and this planning until we have a good master plan for the future and can make those decisions on which route to go. Water Main 1 to Tequesta Drive. As you can tell, they are slowly working west. We did receive Palm Beach County Department of Health clearance for the west side of the bridge on Tuesday this week, I believe it was. So they will be working the coming week to 2 weeks on connecting the services to the new main, and then they will be abandoning the old main, completely restoring the west side of the bridge and moving outside of that area. There was a request on the agenda for the night work at Seabrook and Tequesta Drive. We are confident that we have found a different way of completing that main installation to avoid any type of night work or partial lane closure near that intersection. There may be an impact just to the corner right where Seabrook and Tequesta meet on the northeast corner. And so there may be some MOT in the area, but it will not be a partial lane closure or any night work in that area. Down the road, there will be 2 crossings of Tequesta Drive that will require partial lane closures and possibly night work, but the contractor is looking at possibly directionally drilling those as well to avoid any type of night work or lane closures. Water Main 2 Beach Road Phase 2 is currently out to bid. We completed the pre-bid meeting last week and are working on the addendum for that project, but it's looking good. It looks like we have some interest. County Line Road Water Main and Raw Water Main Replacement, our 2 mains did get pulled in last week, so they are working on the Loxahatchee River District main, and so that project is moving along. They'll have to make the connections and get clearance and everything before we can go live and really start restoring that area. They are also looking at the MOT in that area because they have had some issues, and so they're working with the county on revising their MOT plan to ensure safety of their workers and commuters. And then just some other items to mention. We did have 2 water main breaks yesterday, and just echoing what Jeremy had said, the staff is amazing. For 2 in 1 day, they got out there, they were digging, they were fixing the main, and they got it all repaired before 5 p.m., which is completely amazing to me. They just don't stop and they're so dedicated. So I just want to shout them out because that was awesome work. I'm also happy to share that Juan Rivas is our new capital improvement project manager. So we're excited to welcome him to the team. You want to come up really quick? And Juan was our instrumentation tech, so he's just moving into this new position.
Hello, Council. My name is Juan Rivas. I have had the pleasure of working for the Utilities Department for the past 6 years. And I've been the instrumentation tech, I've been the mechanical technician, and now under this role. And I'm just wanted to come introduce myself and just thank the village for the opportunity to serve and just for always providing, training and motivation and support for all, moving forward.
Congratulations on your promotion. Aren't you doing the Residence Academy? Yeah, so which I think is awesome too. You're just all in. I love it. Great job.
Thank you.
And so with Juan's promotion, we were advertising and hiring for an instrumentation technician. We completed interviews today and are working towards offering that position to an applicant. We did also previously have our QA officer, water treatment plant operator position open. That position has been offered and accepted from an internal applicant, Brett Bowers, who works in the distribution field. So he's very excited to be moving over into the water plant, getting into a lab type of position. So he's excited about that, but that leaves another vacancy. So we will begin hiring for that position as well. A couple of other items, our Drop Savers poster contest is underway. We are very excited. We have had some participation. So those posters are due by the end of February. And then we will have some judging, and the winners will get some prizes. We'll present them at council. And then the winners actually go to FSA WWA state level. So we're very excited to kind of kick off this new program and keep it going through the years. And other than that, we're just working on budget. One of the big initiatives that I have that we're really going to try to focus on this year is ensuring that the budget is reflective of current prices and current projects that we predict will happen in that fiscal year, and ensuring that we have a lot of backup material to support those costs, and ensuring that we are planning for them appropriately and looking at funding opportunities. And we are very excited to present that in the next couple of months. And that's all I have if there's any questions.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
I have 2 comments. First, thank you and all of your staff for doing a great job. We've had multiple water main breaks, plus the normal construction that's going on, and I've received 0 actual complaints from businesses, churches, schools, or residents in that area. That's just me personally. And I also want to ask, and this might be more for Doug, but with Easter around the corner, just keep that in the back of your mind for some of these projects that are wrapping up. As you might have 3 to 4 churches, right there, either right off Tequesta Drive, Seabrook, in that corridor. Just keep that in the back of your mind for planning. Can get things cleaned up in that time period.
Will do.
The same thing that has been echoed already. There's a lot of exciting things happening, in the utilities and water department. At the same time, we're experiencing the end of life of 75-year-old pipes. And so it's kind of unfair what has been happening to your team. And every day the goal line seems to move, and you're doing a great job. And same thing with Doug and Public Works, they're right there. And I get the email and I go, just wondering when I get home, didn't even know there was a break during the day. So you guys are doing a great job. You're doing a great job. We've got a lot going on. And so Juan, welcome. I think you're already on the treadmill, so thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brandon?
No questions, Mayor.
I just want to say on record too that all these, the recent water main breaks, they're not all from construction. Some they've just naturally have broken, which proves that these water main improvements are much needed. And just thank you on your comment on what you plan to do this next budget session, season, whatever you want to call it. Jeremy knows that's been one of my pet peeves with the water, especially the capital projects, for the past 3 years. So thank you for those additional efforts. I'm excited to see what you bring forward. All right, thank you. All right, on to the regular agenda. Old business, number 11, council consideration of the final selection of colors for the Village Annex.
Good evening, Jay Huff, Community Development Director, and Councilman French, thank you for everything you've done. We're really going to miss you. You've been great to work with. Thank you. So this is something that came to you in the December council meeting. You voted to adopt the proposed site plan for the village annex. You did have a condition of approval to bring back new options for roll-up door colors that were maybe a lighter color, as well as Bahama shutters. That was actually Councilman Painter's idea. I know he's not here tonight, but I think he was the one that really liked that idea initially. I have put together some updated options. These were done using ChatGPT, so bear with me. They are not perfect. They do not look like they were done by an architect, but they're as good as I could do. These are the initial options that you saw here. So this is the blue color that kind of matches the rec center colors. This is the gray color. And then here are my ChatGPT options. It did put a weird stone frame around the outside edge there. But otherwise, I think it shows it pretty well. So this is a slightly lighter blue color from the original. Then here's another color that's even lighter. And then we've got a Carolina blue color I threw in there for Jeremy. And then again, the Bahama shutters are on the rec center. So we kind of use these as inspiration. And this is a gray that matches the stone that's on kind of the outside banding. This is a darker gray that matches the roof color. Councilwoman Brandon did let me know this is her preferred option. And then this is kind of a more of a navy blue. Councilwoman Brandon said this is her second option. And then kind of a brown coffee, which is a color that was also used on the rec center, although it really doesn't seem to kind of match anything that's on this building. And then in case you did like the gray shutters, I threw in kind of a bonus option. This was not in the agenda packet, but this is what it would look like with the blue Bahama shutters and the gray roll-up doors. So the cost of the Bahama shutters, these would come from the general fund. So the building fund is covering a lot of the repairs, but these are kind of an add-on that would be in the general fund. Wayne has made it very clear he doesn't have money for these. I've found ranges anywhere from about 5 to 15K. It'll probably be more like 5 to 10. We have to get hurricane rated shutters, of course. So we will try and find, if you want to do the Bahama shutter option, we'll find the highest quality product that's hurricane rated and is kind of reasonably affordable and cost effective. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Jay. Council, I'll open it up for discussion.
Thank you, Jay. As I mentioned last time, this came up for the council meeting. This is not my wheelhouse, design, landscaping. So I pulled a few residents, I think 7 residents that are going to be driving by that street on a normal basis. And I showed them those options. All but one chose on my packet, it's page 7, but I think it's Councilmember Brandon's favorite. It's the light, medium blue or light blue doors with the gray shutter that the residents chose. So I don't, yes, probably right. It says 1 on mine, not 11, but yeah, that looks like the right one.
So there's a light gray, there's a silver, and then the
What was that second one, the light gray? I think that's the one they chose out of the choices given. And that was the original packet, not what we chose today, just what you have.
Yeah.
And so that would be my choices. That's what the residents chose.
Councilmember Brandon?
I'm coming. Hang on. Yeah, thank you, Jay. I emailed Jay just so he understood in case the Zoom didn't work for tonight. So it says number 2 on the bottom of the slide with the blue and the gray shutters. That's my top favorite. And then the second one would be the one underneath that, which in the backup technically is page 9. I still stand firm on no cold commercial gray. If we can swing it, I think ideally putting the shutters on the doors would be amazing because it makes a huge difference. And I'm very sensitive to the fact that so many residents right there are going to have to look at that building every single day. So I think the best we can make it look within our budget would be ideal. And that is it.
Vice Mayor?
Jay, can you put up the slide that has the rec center? Do I see that?
yes.
So that's like a light gray roof and blue.
Yeah, that's the gray roof that we're using on this one.
Okay. I would prefer to keep the two buildings consistent or get as close to that. So the rec center in this building, so whatever that color scheme would be, what I would be in favor of, which I think is probably,
So this option here has a pretty similar color to it's the exact same roof color as the rec center, and then the Bahama shutter would be the same as the roof color on the rec center.
Okay.
And then the blue doors would be pretty similar to what's on the rec center.
that would be my choice. That's clear.
Yes.
Okay.
That one.
Yes.
That's the rec center blue. So I don't think my opinions changed much from last time. I don't think we should be doing different shades of blue all over the village. I think that's like, stick with the theme if it's our building. So, and I drove by again today just to make sure. I didn't think that blue would be too bright because I think that was the concern last meeting, and I don't think it is. So I would opt for doing the doors the same blue. I personally don't like the shutters. I think they look weird on overhead doors, and I don't want them. I don't know where, like, is the bottom of the shutter gonna be at, like, below the top of the overhead door? Like, are they gonna be in the way in the future? I know there's not plans to really haul anything in and out of there, but I feel like you never know. Especially, didn't you say maybe we'd use it for storage for hurricane if we needed to put anything in there? So I don't know. The shutters look funny, so I would opt to just do the same blue as the rec center and get rid of the shutters. Because I also said last meeting I don't want to spend more money on the building either.
I will go with what the mayor's saying. I did not recall the conversation, but even though we don't anticipate on a daily basis going in and out of those doors. But if it's having those shutters is going to take away, any functionality if we needed to utilize the full space getting in, then
I don't believe it will. So they're roll-up doors, so they'll just go up, and those will be over the door. So they should not obstruct the door in any way.
Okay.
And the opening, like, is it gonna hang? Are they gonna hang down past the top of the opening?
They will hang. Yeah,
That's
they will
what I'm
hang down
saying.
past the top of the opening, but there's no plans to bring fire trucks in there or anything. So I don't think there's any clearance issues with having them that height.
Either way, I still don't think they look good, and I don't want to spend more money. So,
we can find the money. I mean, if there's not going to be any, operational obstruction, I think it's nice to have the consistency between the two buildings that are almost next door to each other. So I do like I'll go back to what I had said before, that as long as there's no operational obstruction or we don't anticipate there ever being an issue, but these, if they had to come off, they could come off, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They would unhinge and probably flip up like a regular Bahama shutter would, or, okay. So I would say that I'm going back to my original comment, matching the rec center next door to it.
okay. Any other council discussion? Nope. Lori, are there any comment cards? Any public comment? All right, council, is there a motion?
Councilmember Brandon, just to confirm, you preferred slide number 2 in the bottom corner, which would be consistent with 8 of 10.
Yes, the slide has number 2 in the bottom right-hand corner. In the backup, it's page 9. And Jay has a screenshot of which one I'm talking about. That's my preferred top choice.
Okay,
And I personally like the shutter. It just helps soften the edgy commercial top of that garage door. But again, I agree with Vice Mayor, as long as it's not obstructing any passageways in and out, depending on what's using it. But my understanding was we're not putting anything large like fire trucks. It would be like a pickup truck maybe going in there with some park and rec stuff.
Thank you, Councilmember Brandon. And I move make a motion for the current slide that's on the screen, numbered 11 at the bottom, to approve that for the design of the maintenance building.
Is there a second?
Second for discussion. I just want to confirm if this is the
That is
This
the
is
rec,
the rec
that
center.
is the rec center color, roof color. Yes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Right, on to new business. agenda item 12, special exception use 04-25 for, I think it's phase 2 of the country club.
Mayor, agenda item 12 and 13 both are going to be quasi-judicial proceedings, and they both relate to applications from the Tequesta Country Club. With your permission, I can do swearing in and ex parte disclosures for both agenda items now at the same time. If you're going to be testifying to the Village Council on either agenda item 12 or 13, let me swear you in. Everybody's already standing. Do each of you swear or affirm under penalties of perjury your testimony to the Village Council will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You can all have a seat. Coming back to the council, including Ms. Brandon, if any of you have engaged in any ex parte activities, conversations with the applicant, with staff, site visits, consulted with third parties, any of those things, while they are permissible, you are required to disclose that you've done those on the record in order to remove the presumption that you've been prejudiced by that activity.
Yes, I've had a site visit, spoke with members of the board at Tequesta Country Club, and have conversations with village staff.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brandon?
None for me.
I have, going back 3 years ago, have had conversations with members of what I would call the steering committee for the country club in this project. I have exchanged very high-level, non-detailed text messages with Mr. Herring, and I have spoken with Mr. Forrest from the country club as well. Not had a site visit.
Thank you.
I have spoken to the applicant, staff, and site visit.
Thank you, Mayor. Then with all of that taken care of, you can proceed with agenda item 12.
Jay?
Thank you, Jay Hutch, Community Development Director. So as with phase 1 of Tequesta Country Club, we're going to just kind of merge the presentations together. So both site plan and special exception presentations will go together. I'm going to let Don Herring present first, and then I will follow up with staff's presentation. Apologize. Sexy center.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Zach Cicera. I'm with Cotler and Herring in Jupiter. I'm here on behalf of Tequesta Country Club, the applicant. Very excited to be here tonight. This is sort of the last step in this process. I know I've been in front of you a few times now over the last few months, starting with the maintenance facility, then we moved to the cafe, and now we're on to, of course, the most interesting part of this project, which is the clubhouse. And this is really a legacy project for all of us. We're very excited about this project. And one fun fact to know is that the clubhouse parcel, the golf course parcel, takes up 8% of the entirety of the village of Tequesta. I would say that's unprecedented. I can't think of a similar situation in other municipalities. So very big deal, significant impact to the village. So I'll start off with brief introductions. Of course, we do have members from the country club here, Representative Sam Forrest, Jeff Elsner. We do have Rick Brandenburg on the Cotler and Herring side, myself, Don Herring, and Lori Hood. And then we do have members from the general contractor, Ryan Smith from Black Diamond. So tonight in front of you, you have two applications to make a motion on. The first application is the site plan for the clubhouse and cart barn, and the second application is the special exception. Now, to make a note on the special exception, this is nothing new. We just happen to be in the recreation zoning district, which we did get approved previously. And any building, for that matter, that goes into a recreation zoning district needs a special exception approval. So nothing new with this application. And I know a lot of us have given you the history throughout some of these, of course, presentations throughout the last few months, but the club was built in 1957, which we did mention in the past, and at that time, the population of Tequesta was 300 residents. The club today has 290 members. So when the building was built, it was built for a different function, different operations, different capacity. So that's the reason why we're here tonight, is for a new building that improves the functionality and benefits the members and the community. So if you're unfamiliar with the site, it's the golf course located on the west side of Country Club Drive. The site is 125 acres. And here you can see the subject area under discussion tonight. So everything that we're talking about tonight is the clubhouse and cart barn only, which is within the red dash line that you can see on your screen there. Now here's a view, an aerial image of the existing site. You can see the building is fairly compact. You can even see the amenities. The tennis courts to the south side of the building are very close to the building. So we want to spread that out. We're going to keep around the same square footage. There's only a 1,000 square foot difference in what we're proposing tonight versus what you're seeing on your screen, and improve the circulation. Now, if you notice the parking lot on this screen, we're utilizing angled parking spaces today. That works, that functions. Actually, you can get more parking spaces sometimes when using that, but we're under a higher standard of development nowadays. So we're including landscape islands, tree islands in the parking lot. And I'll show you that in a moment when I get into the site plan here. So here's a site plan graphic representation of our site plan. And you can see the main point that I want to point out to you is the breezeway that connects the cart barn and the clubhouse. We pulled these buildings apart. They're essentially the same square footage, but we pulled them apart and created a terminal vista. As you drive into that access point that you see on your screen, you can see the golf course through the breezeway. We've added decorative pavers, which is not simply just aesthetic, it's also a traffic calming method. And if you notice, it's difficult to see on the screen, but we've added the decorative pavers on the pedestrian crosswalks there, so improving mobility was intentional. And you notice we got rid of the angled spaces entirely. We've converted those to 90-degree spaces. We've added in tree islands, terminal landscape islands, and we actually ended up picking up 12 more vehicle parking spaces in addition to golf cart parking spaces with this plan. And I will note that the current site doesn't meet all aspects of the village code, doesn't meet all aspects of the zoning requirements. So with this application, we've rated that wrong. We're bringing the property into compliance. So this image is an overlay of our proposed site plan on top of the existing conditions. And if you direct your attention to the bottom left-hand corner of your screen where the tennis courts are, you can see our new building is on top of where the old tennis courts were. So this just represents us splitting the building up. We've shifted it a little bit south. We've kept the same square footage, just 1,000 square foot difference, and included the breezeway there. Now, I will say we've improved circulation, of course, with the porte cochere there, decorative pavers, and then we've widened the drive aisles to be code compliant. We've made all the parking spaces code compliant. We've added in the necessary amount of 88 parking spaces as required. And I'll move on to the landscape plan. So we went through a few month review process with the village and Jay and the village consultants. And one comment that we kept hearing on the review comments was, how can we find a creative way to enhance the buffer along Country Club Drive? This is what people are going to see. So what we've done over a few different iterations was we've added multi-tiered landscaping. So what I mean by that is a continuous hedgerow with different accent trees, flowering trees. We've preserved the oaks along Country Club Drive and added some large canopy trees as well. So we've brought in a tiered approach, and not only did we do that, but with the plant species in that buffer and the entire site, we've increased the amount of native species. So we've increased the amount of native trees and the amount of native ground covers and shrubs as well. So I'll move over to the architecture now, and of course this is a representation of what you will see from Country Club Drive. So this building was designed by Leo A. Daly Architects, and if you remember over the last few years, there's been a few different iterations floating around. At one point we had parking underneath the building. The building was fairly tall. We have gotten rid of that entirely, so we're keeping the building one story. It's just over 20 feet. Same square footage as I mentioned, and maintaining a coastal style. I think that's really popular, especially in Tequesta. It seems like a lot of buildings utilize that style. And in the back here, if you have been to the club in the back where it transitions into the golf course, the gathering space is fairly limited, as well as the landscape. The landscape does not accent the building that well today. So we're completely transforming that, we're reimagining that. And you can see that gathering space, which is the priority in the back of the club here. So what we're trying to do is harmonize, and I say that word intentionally because in your code it says harmony for a lot of different criteria items for architecture. So we're harmonizing the interior of the clubhouse, a gathering space outside, and then into the golf course. We're creating a transition, if you will. You can see in that gathering space here the coastal furniture that we've added, the bar area. It looks very nice. Great. And the cart barn as well. So on the other side of the breezeway connects the cart barn. This is fully consistent with the clubhouse design, coastal, 1-story, same square footage as the current cart barn. And this houses all of the golf carts for the members. Each member has a designated golf cart. And it does have some ancillary facilities inside, like restrooms and lockers for the employees, and I think a caddy area as well. So if we go back for a minute, a month ago to the Planning Commission meeting, we presented a construction parking plan, essentially where we will house and stage all the construction equipment, some of the temporary facilities and trailers. We proposed a different plan than you see on your screen here. We had some facilities and trailers on the off-site parking lot across from Country Club Drive. We heard very reasonable and great feedback from the adjacent resident, Mr. Osborne, at the meeting, but also continued coordination after the meeting. And I just will say, to rest assured, we've moved all of those facilities off-site. So now they're entirely on the golf course site. There's nothing happening whatsoever on the off-site parking lot. It will simply remain as a parking lot. So to touch on the site plan criteria and the special exception criteria for that matter, you can notice harmony is used 3 times actually, in 3 for 3 in this criteria. But if you have any detailed questions on how we meet the criteria, I'm happy to answer those. I hope that I have given you the amount of information you need to make an informed decision on this tonight. But I will say that your staff agrees that we meet all the site plan criteria and all the special exception criteria. So again, as I mentioned, this is a legacy project for all of us. I'm sure it's a legacy project for you all too, to be able to consider this tonight. So again, we do have our full team here, happy to answer any questions, and I appreciate you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jay, do you guys have your own presentation? Okay.
So I kept mine a little bit short. I know Zach covered a lot of it, so I'll just touch on a few things here. So again, approvals needed, site plan and special exception. As Zach noted, a special exception is needed for any project in the recreation open space zoning district, so it's not because there's anything unique happening here. Here's just a quick summary to show you the difference between phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1, which you approved in December, is right here in green. Phase 2 is everything kind of on the northern end here in red. As Zach noted, there's no changes proposed to the east parking lot. The project did go through our development review committee meeting, which was held on October 3rd. Went through 3 rounds of review, and there are no unresolved comments. Any items requiring additional information have been captured in the conditions of approval. As Zach noted, we did work with him pretty hard on that landscape buffer on Country Club Drive. He was being very polite. We pushed him pretty hard. We had a kind of uncomfortable call one time, but I think we got really a nice result out of it. And again, the east lot use and limitations here, as noted, they've confirmed that the parking area will not be used for activities or events, and the construction staging will be taking place in the 10th hole. I really want to thank them for doing that. That's a very costly thing to take that hole out of commission, and I'm sure they're going to have to spend a lot of money fixing the hole after it. But again, as they've done throughout this process with making the building 1-story, they've been really good at being sensitive to the neighborhood, and so I appreciate that. I know the Planning and Zoning Board had some concerns. I know this council had some concerns when this came up back in December as well. So hopefully we're kind of in a good place here. There is a condition that the PZB made related to this, which you will see as I get a little further in the presentation. Again, as Zach kind of touched on, this is your standard criteria for review: harmony with buildings and surroundings, building facades, methods of harmonious design, inappropriate building styles. These are all things that we think they meet, and the Planning and Zoning Board did as well. So at the January 15th PZB meeting, they voted 5-0 to recommend approval with the following conditions. So conditions 1, 2, and 3 are really just procedural. They're things we're putting in place just to kind of have a check, something for the checklist when it comes in for building permitting. These were also placed on phase 1, which is submit a construction staging plan, which of course will have to be consistent with what they showed you tonight. An MOT, just making sure that there's no traffic issues caused on Country Club Drive, and we want to make sure that there's all drainage issues are resolved. Of course, that's something we could do during permitting, but we just want to make it clear during the site plan process that that's going to be needed. Additionally, our consulting engineer, David Cowan, said that prior to the utilities permit is issued, they're going to have to provide a confirmation of water and wastewater capacity and to coordinate with the Loxahatchee River District. We don't foresee any issues here, but that's just kind of something to fit there to be safe. And then condition number 5 was added by the Planning and Zoning Board. We did have a resident who lives nearby there speak, and I believe he's also here tonight as well. The PZB noted a condition to add an 8-foot collusion hedge around the northern perimeter of the property. That's where the resident abuts the parking lot. And they also wanted to clarify that no trailer shall be permitted in the portion of the property zoned in the R1A zoning district. So that's the east parking lot. Keith Davis and I have spoken, and we believe that we wouldn't even be able to approve that because it would be kind of a commercial use in a residential zoning district. But just to be clear, it never hurts to make it a condition of approval. And also, council may want to make a condition of approval to reflect that the construction plan that was shown in the presentation tonight is the one that's put into place, because they've been working on that plan, and it actually got to us after the agenda came out. So the plan that's in the agenda packet is a little bit different than what you saw tonight. So if that's the plan you're comfortable with, you might want to make that a condition of approval. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jay. So first, council will discuss agenda item 12, which is a special exception use. We'll keep our comments and conversations relevant to that, and then we'll move on to 13, the site plan modification. I'll open it up for discussion for this special exception.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for presenting. I know we've heard similar presentations over the last few months, but I do appreciate each time taking that time to go through the history, because each time I learn something new. So that is appreciated that you take that. The first question I have on making the approval, it said no trailers. I'm guessing that's specific to a work trailer, as far as where the office trailer is going to be, not a construction trailer where they're just hooked up to the back of the truck.
So yes, so it would be any kind of like a portable trailer, like a school portable, basically.
Okay, thank you. And I just asked that because I know the country club has been very gracious with the neighbors, understanding, making adjustments, and I want to make sure that we balance that. We're looking out for the neighbors, but we're also looking out for the interests of the country club as well. So, one second while I look through my notes. I know that the applicant has suggested some of these changes, but is the applicant happy with where we're sitting right now? And I assume so because if they suggested, but I do want to make sure that is the case.
Right, absolutely, and thank you for your question. We're fully committed to implementing this construction plan if you so approve.
And do you have any issues with any of the 5 conditions that the P&Z board put up?
No issues, and we're fully committed to installing the 8-foot hedge.
Thank you. So I don't have any further questions, but if we do add the additional condition of the plan, I would just like to clarify that the trailers are more of a work office trailer, not a just construction trailer.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Brandon?
For special exceptions, I'm okay with approval. Do you want comments now for the site plan, or do you want me to wait?
No, let's wait.
Okay.
I have no comments on, other than thank you to the applicant, the country club, the committee that has been working for years. I met them 3 years ago. So thank you for really listening and putting forward something that's really going to change the landscape, no pun intended, of the country club and all of Tequesta. So thank you.
I have no comments on the special exception use. Lori, any public comment cards?
I have none on 12, but possibly one on 13.
11, you mean? We're on 11. Oh, I'm sorry. Nope, we're on 12. My bad. Any public comment?
And before a motion is made, just to be clear that the conditions proposed are for the site plan, not
For
the
the,
special.
yeah, not the special exception, correct. Any public comment? Nope. All right, so is there a motion on the special exception?
Make a motion to approve special exception 04-25.
Well, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we're moving on to discussion for the site plan modification, agenda item 13. It's number 08-25. Councilmember French, do you have anything else to add?
No, I apologize for jumping the gun on the conditions.
That's okay.
No, I did not.
Councilmember Brandon?
I actually do think we should put in the motion, whoever makes it, the T&Z recommendation, and also approving the presentation site plan that was presented tonight and not what's in our backup. And lastly, I know it's very difficult to do a project and get a lot of pushback on certain things, but I really appreciate you guys, again, your professionalism and your partnership working with staff and the residents, because our community is small. And so that really goes a long way in Tequesta, and that means a lot. So I know it might have been a headache, but again, I thank you on behalf of the people I speak to, and it looks like it's going to be a great project.
I have just a few clarifications that may be more for the applicant. I'm not quite sure. In the east lot, again, we're talking about the east lot limitations. The presentation, your presentation, says the east lot will function solely for parking and operational purposes. Now, parking will be, is there going to be any golf cart parking? Could be. I just want to make sure that we're all speaking the same language.
For the record, Donaldson Hearing, and thank you for having us here. And thank your staff for really a great process. The process worked the way the process should to produce a great project. So we greatly appreciate it. So on the east lot, we're basically suggesting that the east lot is going to be utilized by club members, right? Their members, our employees will be parking there. All craft parking, right? Construction traffic to the maximum extent possible is going to be on site or off site if we need additional parking. Or within the staging areas that we proposed. So it's intended to be used kind of in the same fashion it's used today for the benefit of the guests and the members.
But there could be, we discussed temporary tents with parking for golf carts.
There could be. That would be something that we would have to appropriately permit with your staff, but yes.
But that's not part of this approval. Because my follow-up question, Don, would be, it talked, east lot will function solely for parking and operational purposes. What is operational? My concern is this, is that, I know that we're displacing all the cart parking. And now there's going to do as much as you can on the west side, coming to the east side. My concern is that we're going to say, well, we don't have enough space, and there might be operational purpose could be defined or interpreted as that the operational purposes could be defined as bringing the accounting department over there, like a construction trailer type thing.
We can answer that. That is not the intent. I mean, we would like to have some flexibility. I am told that the temporary golf cart tent is actually going to be located on site, not in the parking lot. Don't want to represent that there would not be golf carts parked there. That would happen. We'll continue to use it the way that we are, and of course there is a condition of approval. We'll be planting that hedge to provide additional screening. But we've, just going back, just so that the applicant has some flexibility. We originally had pickleball courts. We removed the pickleball courts. We originally were looking at doing, construction trailers and some office trailers that would serve our function. we've removed all of that. So we've tried to be the best neighbor that we can be, but we don't want to be so hemmed in that your staff, if we have a need, can't give us the reasonable use of something that's not going to adversely impact our neighbors. And as it relates to the staging plan that's in your file, or that we presented tonight, that's the area that we're proposing. Certainly, we would want your department's ability, as our contractors are working, flexibility to rearrange that area in which we're working, not to move it off-site.
Understood.
Thank you very much.
And then the 8-foot clusia hedge, can that be installed now and not during phase 2, just so it can have a chance to be a little bit more mature?
Yes, it can be installed.
I'm not saying tomorrow, but
Not
during.
It can be installed kind of before our construction, or as our construction starts, as we mobilize, before greater parking activities occur on that site.
Okay. I want to be, I am supportive of this, but I also want to be sensitive to the fact that what my concern is, and I said it, the last time we got together, was my concern is that we get down to crunch time and we come back and say, well, we don't have room for staff. We thought we could put them over where they are up on the screen, but now we've got to put them over there. And I don't want to see any construction trailers housing staff. That's my concern.
And we
golf cart parking, totally understand it.
We understand that, and that's why we moved everything out. We've got a great contractor, Black Diamond, and a very seasoned team that's worked very carefully to make this happen. This was not easy, as I think Jay pointed out. There's a pretty big cost to it, but we did it to be a good neighbor, as we have working through the entire process.
And you have it. I don't think that's a concern of mine.
And we, like I said, we thank you very much. I know early on there was a much bigger building. It was almost 2 stories. We had all the cart barns under it. We've listened not only to you, but our members as well. And I think ultimately you're going to be an absolutely amazing project. I can't believe how long. It's been a while. We've taken our time. We've tried not to rush it. Councilman French, we started this before you were even here. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to work with you. And so we just thank you for all of your input that you've been able to provide to us, not only on this project, but all projects.
I guess I understand the need for the flexibility and wanting to provide that, but planning and zoning said it can only go, only thing I'm going the east lot is R1A. R1A does not include having a trailer housing professional staff. So that would have to come back to council again if that was going to be needed, correct? Awesome. No, thank you. Thank you very much again to your team.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Thank you.
First, I just want to say thank you for your generosity in being a good neighbor in regards to the duration of the construction. I would only wish that all the construction sites in Tequesta were so generous. They're not, and maybe that's something our building department and Jay can work on future projects. But thank you for your generosity there, because that doesn't happen on all our sites. And we have, that's zoned for residential, right? So potentially homes could be built there if you sold it. You can't stop that if it's so, I'm just pointing that out because you could have a full-on construction site there, and for you to just really move everything off site, that's gonna cost you money to repair that golf course, that area. So truly, thank you. You guys are being fantastic neighbors. The parking light fixtures came up in the P and Z meeting. It's FPL's light package 100% has more aesthetically pleasing light fixtures. So could we make that a condition of approval that you bring it back for Jay to approve? I don't think it needs to come back to council. I trust your judgment, Jay.
Yeah, we provided a functional lighting program. So no problem with your condition, but just to assure you, FPL today has what they call their area lighting program. And so it's not just the cheap little coach lights that shine in your eyes. These are professional fixtures that are low profile, contemporary, that fit in. And that's basically what we're using, functional fixtures that put the light where it needs to be. Absolutely, I believe we've provided a photometric plan, but we'll certainly, give it to your department to review, because spending the money that we're spending, we certainly want the aesthetics to be everything you expect them to be, because that's what our members expect.
Okay, so yeah, if council's for it, I would just make a condition of approval, because the FPL has a whole packet of different types of site lighting fixtures, so just have them work with Jay to see if they can find something that might be, just kind of fit the aesthetics a little bit better there. The existing trees that are to be located, there's a note in the plans that say at a minimum 60% survival, that you shall ensure 60% survival of relocated plants. I assume that includes the trees. If a tree doesn't survive, do we require it to be replaced the same size and maturity?
You do within practicality. So if it's a 30-foot oak tree, and of course, to move a tree like that, if we're moving a big tree, I mean, the cost is generally $7,500, $10,000 to move a tree like that. So we're going to do everything in our power. Luckily, we have some great agronomists who know how to do that kind of stuff that's on staff, to ensure that it survives. But if you had a tree, the idea is to replace it with something that is as commercially available at the largest size that you can get it. So it might not be the exact same size, but you're not going to come back with a twig. That's kind of what the intent is.
Yeah, and that's all I want to ensure doesn't happen, because there's always that risk, right, that plants, especially trees, don't make it after you relocate them. So again, I don't know, I'll defer to Jay. I don't know if that needs to be a condition of approval or staff would just handle it at that time and just make sure that there's reasonably sized trees replacing those mature trees that were relocated.
Yeah, we put together a really nice landscape package that we worked out with your staff. It's very nice, it's full, it's thick, it's going to be lush, it's unique, so it's native, but it's also not the same thing that you see everywhere else, because we had a lot of input from Mr. Fazio, who was great interest in kind of the nature in which the course and the landscaping goes. So most of the trees that are being relocated are predominantly sable palms and smaller trees that are being relocated around, and we've very, very good success for it.
Okay. And then the craft parking at the church, you're not using that anymore, correct? That's noted in this application.
Yeah, the intent is, our current plan is not to use that. If that needs to happen, we certainly would work that out with your manager and with Jay. But at this point, we think we can accommodate it now that we've created these additional areas on site.
So if you guys end up needing that, part of me would like that to come back to council, because I did have questions like, well, what hours are people going to start showing up? Because we're, being really respectful of the neighbors adjacent to the country club, but that parking lot, there's homes all around it too. So if you have people showing up early and they're loud, that can be very disruptive to the people that are in the homes right around that parking lot. So is that something that could come back to council so we can discuss the hours and the traffic flow and that kind of stuff?
I think that's a reasonable request if we can find sort of a simplified way of bringing it back to council, as opposed to a 3-month process, something that we could get to you pretty quickly, like a conceptual review type of a meeting.
Is that something we could add as a condition of approval?
We could do it just like we did the first item with the Station 11 today.
Yeah.
It just kind of comes back as a standalone item. It's on site plan amendment.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need to be courteous to those neighbors
Absolutely.
too.
That process works out fine. We'd rather you be in the know and be informed, so it works well for us as well.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Any other council comments or questions? Nope. Lori, any
Nope.
comment cards?
I have a comment card from Steve Osborne.
The presentations by the applicant and by Jay answered all my questions, so I don't need.
Any other public comment? Mr. Bradford, he had his hand up first, and I'm calling you, Ms. Watkins.
Good evening, Thomas Bradford, 44 Chestnut Trail. I just want to say 2 things. One, I think this is a great project. It's very important, particularly for the Tequesta Country Club community, but also for the entirety of the village of Tequesta. But secondly, in regard to the language that Vice Mayor Satori was concerned about relative to the parking lot that's adjacent to East Wind's Landing. I think that's the name of the subdivision. Why don't you modify the language to say words to the effect, subject to the approval of the village, which would allow them for operational, in other words, for operational purposes that have been approved by the village. So that means that you would be avoiding potential conflicts with East Wind's Landing by having language that makes an extra step occur before they actually use the lot, and there's any arguments or concerns about that, if you follow my logic. That's a suggestion that would fix it in my mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Watkins?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Marcia and I would just like to make the request, if possible, or get it out there. Before this building is destroyed, obviously this is the foundation of the village. We'd love to have photos of the current building in its existing state, and then have, again, when it's finished, so we'll have the history of it to add to our files. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant be willing to coordinate with our historians to document some of that? Okay. Thank you. Any other public comment?
Mayor, can I just get clarification? You made a comment, I won't say it was a condition, a comment about things coming back for staff approval, not necessarily coming back to council.
Yeah.
And can you give me an example of one of those? Because I might want to make sure that my concern would be covered by that.
So the specific one that I requested that, and that I trust Jay's judgment, is the parking light fixtures.
Okay.
To go through FPL's, available offerings, and maybe there's something that's a little more aesthetically pleasing. Because that comment came up in P&Z, and I agreed when I was looking at those lights. So, and the others would come back. Everything else, I think, was to come back to us, right?
I guess my point is, and I think maybe Zach or Don could address it. In the event that we get to the east parking lot where you just find out that you got to have some cart parking over there, and we're going to do a temporary tent or something. My concern, kind of with the noise and the early staging of that, I don't have a golf cart, but when I've been on one, when you put it in reverse, it beeps and it backs up, and so make sure I know that's happened currently. But we're going to have cart parking over there, is there a way that we can minimize the noise early in the morning? So it could maybe like a one-way drive-through through the tent to pull them in and pull them out if we're going to ever get to that point?
If it gets to that point, I think at this point, Councilman, we've represented that that's not our intent to do that.
Understood.
So, in the same vein that if that required, we bring it back in the same way that we might bring back the parking that would be off-site, so that everybody would be well informed and everything we do is right. So at this point, I don't think we're looking to go into that direction.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Or maybe we can make a condition of approval, like they just have to follow our working hours, what does it start on the weekday, 7 a.m.? 8 on the weekday it's 8 a.m.? I don't think so.
Well, if it's a code requirement, you don't have to make it a condition of approval. It's automatic.
Well, there was a portalet truck literally beeping its alarm at 5 a.m. in the country club this morning. I heard about it. So part of me thinks we do need to make that very clear. Because I mean, those guys show up before 7 a.m. I know that. So,
Understand.
so maybe it doesn't have to come back, but if they need to put something in the east parking lot, or they do decide to do the church parking lot, that you work with staff on an appropriate plan, and we do have to highly dictate the working hours need to be in compliance with our hours in our code. I'm telling you, it doesn't happen around here, and I know that those job sites start early, especially in a larger job like this. So, is that reasonable to leave it to staff and make sure those hours are dictated? And
I do have to disagree a little. I think we're overstepping on this project, and that the code's already set to regulate that, and that I don't want to put all these additional stipulations and conditions on the country club for that issue. But I think that's a town-wide code code already. and I don't want to just keep adding on to their conditions. I think we're overstepping a little bit at this point on this project. It's just my opinion. I think
I made it very clear when I started speaking that how generous you guys have been with your concessions. Like I've not seen this in any project in the village. So since I've been on planning and zoning and council, which is quite some time now. So I don't disagree with you. That's why I kind of pulled back a little bit. It's like, why don't we just follow the code, make sure staff knows the plan for either of those lots, make sure they know what the hours are, and that we're enforcing them is all. So like basically just, and you know, I think again, if we're being so respectful to the residents by the country club, if that church lot starts getting used, I think we owe those residents the same courtesy at that point. Like we're just moving a problem over there now, so it's someone else's problem. But again, make it a condition of approval, but that it just goes to staff, and we follow like the work hours and stuff. Nothing like super restrictive.
Okay.
Because then it holds it up from it having to come to council again. Because we know, I mean, we're not going to call a special meeting for that, right? So.
Right, and I think if I'm understanding this properly, if they did add a tent or go to the church for parking or additional uses, they're gonna have to come back to staff and council anyway. They can't just throw up a tent and we were already gonna approve that before or going in that direction. I just don't, well, I did say, I don't wanna keep adding to all these conditions. I'm trying to make a list now.
I agree.
Now I'm a little lost on conditions.
Well, it wouldn't have to come back to council. Would anything have to come back to us?
They would not have to come back
Right.
to do any of these things unless you make it a condition of approval.
Which I'm saying not to.
Okay.
Just, I trust our staff. You guys do a good job. You've worked with them for many years now, so I think you can continue working together down the road if need be. So what I'm hearing is the parking light, the condition of approvals that were presented already by Jay, add the parking light fixtures to work with staff, and then add that if they park in the church parking lot, they just come to staff to deal with those logistics. And then, did we need anything else for the east parking lot or no? I mean, it would just be the same thing to deal with staff.
Right, I
Yeah.
don't think it's,
Yeah, and I think the PZB condition kind of covers it. It says no trailers are permitted.
Agreed.
I just want to summarize the conditions listed. So we have the 5 conditions from P&Z. We have the parking light fixtures. We have the current construction plan that was presented to us this evening. And did you add the church parking lot, use of the church parking lot?
Yeah, they would just need to coordinate with staff on a logistics plan and
Okay.
confirm the hours of those operations.
Can I get clarification on the one thing? Would council be okay with staff approving the covered cart area on the east parking lot? I know so the condition says no trailers, but if they came back and said we don't have room to park all the carts on the 10th hole, we need to park a few of them over in the east parking lot, is council okay with staff approving that?
I am.
Just my concern is, it's placed properly. Maybe rely on staff for that. But if there's any noise and beeping and things that you would maybe you don't hear at the country club because it's a cart barn. Maybe that's the wrong word. I just want to make sure that we're not imposing any new sound, and that's not construction work, but that is still noise that's being generated that perhaps has not been generated on the west side of the road.
Sure.
And if they're backing out carts at 6:30 in the morning, I don't want to have people calling and saying I can hear beeps that I've never heard before because we moved that over here, and that's an R1A zoning, and why are we allowing this when it's a parking lot? And it's a whole other issue. So,
I like the suggestion of having like one way in, one way out, so they're not backing up. That's spot on. So we'll try. If they do that, we will try to make that happen.
I trust Mr. Herring, Zach, the committee, and you, Jay. So thank you.
Councilmember Brandon, do you have anything else to add? Sorry, I don't see you on the screen, so I momentarily forgot you were there.
Nope, I'm listening. Nope, I'm good with everything that's being proposed.
Which one is wrong?
Is there something you guys need to?
No.
You're okay. Well, I heard what's wrong. So I'm like, okay. All right, so we're good. They're talking about something else. All right, so does someone want to make a motion?
Sure, I have a list, but I do want to confirm the applicant is agreeable with these conditions that we spoke about just currently that we listed?
Yes, the applicant's in agreement.
Thank you. Okay, I make a motion to approve site plan modification 08-25 for Tequesta Country Club with the conditions provided by the P&Z board with additional conditions of the parking light fixtures approved by staff, the current construction plan that we received this evening, and if there's any future use of church parking lot that is coordinated with the council, and staff may approve golf cart storage usage on the east parking lot.
I just want to make a correction. I think for the church parking, it doesn't need to go to council. You said to coordinate with council.
Yes, I did. I apologize. I have staff written right here. Let me remake the whole motion. Make it clear.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct. Make a motion to approve site plan modification 08-25 Tequesta Country Club with the conditions approved and suggested by the P&Z board, 5 conditions listed, with additional parking light fixtures approved by staff, the current construction plan that was presented this evening, if future use of the church parking lot to coordinate with staff, and staff may approve golf cart storage usage on the east parking lot. That's acceptable.
Would you consider including I know while the applicant agreed to do the Clusia hedge now, as long as we're in agreement with that.
Contemporaneous with the starting construction.
Understood, okay.
Sure, that's fine. Leave it out. Good.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Councilmember Brandon?
Aye.
Congratulations, this is a long time coming. I, for one, am super excited to see this project happen. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. It's been a great process. Your entire staff, building department, everyone has been wonderful. We appreciate it, and look forward to the next year or so while we're building this building, and we'll certainly keep your staff fully informed of our progress.
Great.
So
Thank you.
very much, Madam Mayor.
Congrats.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Moving on, agenda item 14, ordinance number 01-26. First reading of an amendment to our pension trust fund.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Mr. French. I've enjoyed our time together, and I respect you, and you will be missed.
Thank you.
Before we have the explanation, I just need to read the title into the record. This is ordinance 0126, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending Code of Ordinances of Chapter 2, Administration, Section 2-61, Pension Trust Funds, Exhibit A, General Employee Pension Trust Fund, Section 24, Military Service prior to employment, expanding enrollment opportunity for participation in the purchase of this credit, providing each and every other section, subsection of Chapter 2 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date and for other purposes. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff?
All right. Mr. Allen was approached by a former board member of the General Employee Pension Plan, and we had a meeting with him. He asked for us to consider including veterans' time at up to 5 years for purchase by any veterans that are in our thing. It's a one-time choice, and the employee will have to pay for the actuarial study, and that's Magicians working on that. They will pay for the study, and they will pay for their time that they're buying back. And so it's a good thing, I think, and I recommend we move forward.
Thank you, Jeff. Council, any comments or questions?
A few questions. Thank you, Jeff, for presenting this. First question I have, I'm just having been in this seat before, and I couldn't find the answer on here, is when the person buys back the time, are they paying their current salary or back from when they began employment with the village?
It's going to be the actuarial value of their time. Mm-hmm. So their highest 5 years earning will be calculated, 5 years, it's 5 years earnings will be calculated by the actuary. So they'll look at that, they'll get that the last 60 months worth, and they'll use that as their amount they buy back.
Understood, because usually if you buy back at the beginning of your career, it's a much cheaper than buying back towards the end of your career.
Yes, that's true.
And so is that calculated back from day one, like they applied day one for that credit, or is it applied today?
It applies today.
Understood. And another suggestion, I would suggest that the pension board absorb the cost of the actuarial study at least one time for the employee. Sometimes employees may have more than one actuarial study, but I'd suggest that they absorb just that one-time cost of that study.
Okay. I was just trying to limit cost to the village,
Appreciate
which
it.
is why I said they should pay for that.
Understood. And I appreciate that. And this is for military only, right? Not any other service, if it was a police or firefighter that had prior service?
Military.
Understood. And the other question is, well, no, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Councilmember Brandon?
I fully support.
To piggyback on Jason's question, when we've had an actuarial on the Public Safety Officers Pension Board, I believe we had some opportunities there. Who paid for the actuarial study? Because weren't they able to do the same thing? I was on that board for a brief period of time. I don't recall. I just want to be consistent. If we did it in one pension plan, I want to make sure that we're applying the cost of that.
I am certain on the police pension plan that's there, and I'd have to go back and read the fire pension, but there is something with the fire pension plan to get their veterans' time in.
I just want to make sure that we're consistent. If we charged one pension plan, the individuals that we're trying to buy back time, if we ever did that we're applying it.
I don't know that any has happened. I'm just all about, trying to save money.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know what the cost of the actuarial study for something like that?
It'll be about $3,000, I think.
For the individual?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have any comments. It's pretty self-explanatory. Thank you. Lori, any public comment? Oh, okay. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the ordinance 0126 with the addition that the village absorb a one-time actuarial cost estimation for the employee.
Regarding this particular item though, right?
Well, yeah, I guess how's that gonna, just
I
for the
don't understand.
military?
Just for military, I mean, just want to make sure.
Yes, just for this item.
Right.
Yes.
Well, we don't have, sorry, now we're into more discussion. The vice mayor brought up from his experience on the pension board, is there another situation where, we don't really have another situation where people will be able to buy back the years, do we, right?
Yeah, no, it's in
currently?
the police and the fire. There's an opportunity in all the pension plans to do this.
For the military?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Fire, police have it in their plans right now. And actually, general does as well, but this expands it a little bit and it opens the opportunity. It's a very narrow window right now. This kind of opens the window a little further, makes it a little easier.
And I suggest that just as actuarial costs, they're uncontrolled by the employee. They're also uncontrolled by the village, and it's a significant cost to the employee, but I will say that's pretty standard around municipalities to cover the one-time buyback. Not saying that we have to do what other municipalities do, but just in my experience, it's a standard procedure.
Thank you. For legal counsel, on the language where they have the ability to buy back for military in both the pension plans is currently, do we have any language in there does it state that the participant will pay for that? So are we changing what is the language that is currently there?
I'd have to go back and look. I remember that both pension plans have this opportunity. They're not verbatim identical, police and fire, and I don't recall, but I can let you know.
Yeah, because what we did for police and fire, correct? So I think we had some people that were able to buy, it wasn't military, but it was prior years of service. Did that require an actuarial study?
I'm sure it did. It would have to.
Yes.
And in that case, who paid for that? Because we just did it within the last year or two.
Yeah, it was recent. Yeah.
Who paid for that actuarial?
So I believe that the pension,
The pension, so
paid
so
for it,
the village paid for
which
that.
is the village, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're being consistent.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah, as long as it's consistent.
That was not
across the
military
board.
service, that was prior fire service when they were interning here. So that's a little bit different, but yes.
Well, we just did one for the police too. I was thinking the police one.
Yeah.
Did they have to pay for the study or did we?
I don't know of anyone taking advantage of that yet.
Thought we approved that for the chief or the assistant chief in the police department to buy additional time.
Yeah.
I forget the condition,
The village paid for that,
pay for that.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is first reading, let us confirm all that, and we'll make sure in the second reading we have all the answers for you.
Okay.
That'll be suffice, so you can make that motion, obviously, in the second reading, if you want
yeah.
to change your mind back because it's significant cost, or whichever way you want to go, but we'll just confirm it all before second reading.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then I'll second the motion as made.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, again, agenda item 15 was removed for tonight. So on to 16, consider approval of Kim and Creed piggyback agreement for SCADA conversion.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. Allison Berg, Utilities Director. Before you tonight is a piggyback agreement and proposal for your consideration and approval for our SCADA conversion, technical services to complete that conversion for a total not to exceed $209,455.48. That total does include $25,000 of contingency in case there is something that comes up or equipment that does need to be purchased to complete that conversion. Our SCADA, which is our supervisory control and data acquisition system, is basically like the brain of our plant. So it shoots signals out to the different control components throughout the plant. It tells it what to do to maintain certain levels, certain production, and then the equipment does it. If something's wrong, the equipment sends a signal back to the SCADA system, help me, something's wrong. So it's very, very important to what we do. Without it, we couldn't do what we do. Our current SCADA system is it's called Wonderware. It's very old. It has not been upgraded in a while. We have had in the past year issues with the Windows operating system, our SCADA operating system, and then a system called Win 911, which is the system that calls out to our operators when no one is at the plant to let them know that there's an issue at the plant and they need to come in. So all of these things have to talk to each other. There were issues with the compatibility with different versions of the systems talking to each other. So the IT department has been working over the past year to kind of band-aid the system to get us to the finish line of doing this conversion. This conversion was originally included in the water treatment plant upgrades, which was designed back in started design in 2019 and then I think finished initial design in 2021. That project was kind of put on the shelf because it was slated for SRF funding. So they started the process of getting the SRF funding. However, the SCADA conversion of this project was not included for SRF funding. It was just part of the project to get a better price to do the conversion. Due to the time that has lapsed since then, our SCADA system is kind of limping along and we have had issues. So we have had to spend some money and some additional time trying to work on that. And it's really important that we do this conversion and get it done and do it the right way. So in the rebidding of the water treatment plant upgrades and now the redesign, we decided to begin looking elsewhere to complete this conversion. Our recent CCNA that went out, we selected McKim & Creed. They have a very good controls division. They have completed and are currently completing other SCADA conversions at other utilities and have been doing those successfully. We have been working with them and they have just been awesome so far, even getting this proposal in a timely manner. The proposal includes that complete conversion. There will be downtimes associated with this work, and they are aware of the need to stay online and do as much as possible to ensure the operational continuity. But they have a good plan going forward. They know what our needs are. They have gotten copies of our current system, so they're aware of what they are getting into. And I just want to make sure that it's clear to you that with this proposal, there still will be costs down the road to replace PLC components, which are program logic control. So there's equipment purchases that will be made down the road. And then there will be also costs associated with programming the equipment that's added with the water treatment plant upgrades, but McKim & Creed will still do that outside of the water treatment plant upgrades actual contract project. Deciding to take this out of that overall project, one, gets it done faster, which it needs to be done now, and then it also reduces the cost and complexity of the water treatment plant upgrades project. This work would have been subcontracted. There would have been markups associated with that work, so we are saving in the markups. It also allows us to have a consultant complete that work that will stay on because they're part of our CCNA and will stay on and help us with any type of programming down the road. So it helps ensure that we're not increasing costs due to somebody else having to become familiar with our process or our plan. But there will be, I just want you to be aware that there will be other costs associated with some programming down the road, so you will see some of those. This is just specific to the conversion of the current system to our new software. And with that, I will take any questions.
Thank you. Council?
No questions, and thank you for clarifying that at the end. This is the first cost, it'll be future costs. Thank you.
Oh, Councilmember Brandon?
No questions.
No question other than, if I read this correctly, we're saving about $40,000 or $50,000 by kind of going direct.
Yes, right now it's a little bit difficult to know exactly how much we're going to be saving, just because the original cost estimate for the water treatment plant upgrades was done back in, I think the most recent cost estimate we have was 2024. So obviously things have escalated a little bit in price. And the way that the cost estimate was broken down for that project, there was a lump sum for the conversion, but there was also programming scattered throughout some of the other line items. So I don't know an exact cost for just this work. But we will, once we get a new updated cost through the water treatment plant upgrades, we'll have a better idea of what the cost savings is, as well as when we get the bids from the water treatment plant upgrades, we'll definitely know.
Thank you.
Did you look into other vendors for this service or just this payback?
We originally approached McKim & Creed just because we've been working with them and talking to them about all of the issues that we have been having. We've been looking at using them for some other smaller projects that we have going on as well. We were very comfortable with the way that they spoke to us, the way that they communicated, especially to our operators. This is a very sensitive system to our operations, so any consultant or anyone coming in and doing this type of work, you have to have a lot of security and safety and trust in whoever's doing it. They felt the security in that. So in the essence of time, we asked them if they had a piggyback. They currently were doing 2 or 3 conversions, so they did have this contract that we could piggyback that was, it was publicly bid because we didn't want to just go with our CCNA. We could have just said this was under our CCNA and just didn't agreement with them, but it doesn't really fall under an engineering type of work. It's more technical services and programming, so it's not really engineering. So we decided to go the piggyback route. We did not look for any other agreements or anything like that.
Okay. And my next comment and request, I want to assure you, it's no reflection on the job you're doing because you're doing amazing. I mean, just her update, standing report, it's insane how much you have going on. So you're doing a great job, but there's so many contracts that council approves. I mean, I think half of our agenda every month is for the water utility department. And since I've been on council, we've had 3 different directors for the utilities department. And naturally, with a change of leadership, you might pivot on things, which I think is totally reasonable and understandable. But it's getting hard sometimes to really track these projects and the dollars spent, especially when they're ones that have been revisited multiple times, or there's multiple contracts on the same, piece of equipment or project. So, and the way that this memo was written is this one that was like a 4-page memo. It was really lengthy, which is fantastic. I love the detail. It's so informative, but it really reads that there's a sense of urgency and that our system's at risk. So that puts council in a very difficult position up here to ask questions, delay it. It's like, providing clean, reliable water is one of the most important things we do, right? So I don't know if going forward just for checks and balances, and so council can do our due diligence and making sure we're tracking them, because again, I mean, some of these things predate both of them, do you have like a master contract list or something that you could provide that kind of outlines it a little bit better, so I kind of understand, okay, well, we pivoted on here and we did this contract here, now we're doing this, because I think that would help me like make more confident decisions and not feel so under pressure that, oh, this is urgent, our water system at risk, like of course we need to approve this. So again, this is not a reflection on, you're doing amazing, and I do like a lot of things that you're pivoting on. But going forward, especially with the volume of stuff we see, I think we just need like some kind of spreadsheet or master contract tracking system, which maybe you have already. Do you want to comment?
So we kind of have one and kind of don't have one. So if it's project specific, we do not have a spreadsheet yet. With this new 2020 or FY25 CCNA, we are starting to track all of our work authorizations specific to engineering firms. I do plan to implement a system to track the costs associated with the whole project, especially the SRF funded projects, I believe, are the ones that we see more costs over a longer time, just because it takes a while to get that funding. And then obviously from that time period, and I think it's the most evident in this project, things have changed. One of the largest changes to this project, other than the reduction in scope, is the controls. When it was designed 5-6 years ago, those control components were still relevant, and now they're not. It's hard to get them, and so now we're having to pivot just because of the time. It has nothing to do with anyone's decisions or anything, but I can try to figure out all the costs that we have spent on this and get you a summary. This is probably the most unique project. The water treatment plant upgrades is probably the most unique contract, or the most unique project, just because it has been a while since it was originally designed. And then I know we went through redesigns under previous leadership when leadership changed over, and now we're going through a couple redesigns now. So I can try to get all of that summarized and give you that data. I don't currently have it right now. We are working towards implementing a system to track that though.
I don't want to think overkill because I know you're so busy, but like for example on this one too, it says it doesn't include any equipment or hardware that might be purchased. So again, that would be a good example, like when it comes back, just have some of that history. Because yes, there's so much. And the Baxter and Woodman from the consent, right? I had gotten my questions answered beforehand, but that's a good one. I was like, well, I know we budgeted for this, but this is going to eat up a good portion, and that construction project could probably cost a lot more than what's left over. So like that would have been something good to note there, just so we kind of can see that path, because it's just, I feel under pressure sometimes to approve these, and there's just so much going on. So sorry that was long. Again, don't make it overkill because you're so busy, but something in a simple form that could help us be really confident in our decisions and the flow of money.
That was a good point, Mary. Thank you.
Sorry, it was lengthy.
No,
Okay. Thank you. All right, any comment cards? Nope. Any public comment? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Agenda item 17, consider approval of SAK construction for stormwater pipeline.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Allison Berg, Utilities Director. The proposal before you this evening is for our annual stormwater pipelining for a total not to exceed $95,769. Every year we budget roughly $100,000 for our stormwater pipelining. Pipelining is the most cost-effective way to prolong the useful life of our stormwater infrastructure. The locations that are included in the memo are planned pipe replacements. I do want to note that when we were initially reaching out to get prices for this project, there were two other locations that were 42-inch pipes. Both of them were roughly $100,000 each to line. So those we decided to remove those from this project this year, but we'll be looking at doing those in coming fiscal years. The project also, in conjunction with the pipelining, includes the stormwater pond inlet and outlet inspections and cleaning. As you can see, we did get 3 different prices for this work, and I believe we are trying to complete this work prior to rainy season, when it would be more difficult to complete the CIPPs.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions?
No, thank you, Allison.
Councilmember Brandon?
No questions.
Where is 4805 Tequesta Drive? Where is that? Looking that up.
If we can pull up a map or something. I am very bad at directions, so I don't know.
So it looks like it's west of the bridge. What is it, on Pine Hill, Pine Tree? On Tequesta Drive. Oh, I see where it is. I see the map now. Okay.
Okay.
I didn't realize we had 4 digits on Tequesta Drive. All right, thank you.
Okay, I have no comment. Any public comment cards? Any public comment? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Allison. All right, moving on to our last agenda, item 18, council consideration and direction on filing the Village Council seat 1. And it says Lori, or is Keith who's gonna present on this?
I'll be happy to.
I was like, Lori's name's on.
So, as I'm sure everybody's aware, at this point, we had a qualified candidate for the seat Councilmember French is vacating at the end of his term. That person moved out of the village and is no longer eligible to serve. So, the net result is you will have a vacancy when you reorganize. And the charter and the code provide some instruction on what to do in that situation. Basically, the council will appoint someone to fill the vacancy up until the next general election, at which time someone can qualify to run for the remainder of that 2-year term. So that's where we are right now. This, I guess, is a heads up that that's coming, and that you're going to be faced with filling that vacancy once we reorganize, and there actually is an empty chair there.
Okay. Thank you. All right, council, open up for discussion.
Yeah, it's an interesting change of events. I do think that 5 people up here matters and is the right way to continue on for this council. I have spoke to my wife, which we already had many plans, and I've already made some March vacation plans, that if the council decides to fill the position and wishes to have me fill that for a year, that I would serve. If the council does not wish to have me for that year, that's not offended in any manner whatsoever. But I do think the consistency and the history of having people up here who have are already ready to go, make the decision, and have a base is the best method, and having the 5 people up here is the best method. So I would vote for filling the position in the March meeting.
Councilmember Brandon? And when Tom Bradford, was that via application process?
I believe so.
So you open it up? Okay.
Even for Mr. French, if he wants to continue to serve for this period, you'll still have to submit a formal. The code talks about criteria for selecting an appointed council member. One of the criteria is submit a resume and letter of interest to the clerk pursuant to any deadline for submission that has been advertised by the village. So that is one of the criteria. And that will have to happen.
Okay, Councilmember Brandon?
All right, perfect. So that answered 2 of my questions. Thank you, Keith. Obviously, I'm in favor of following the process that we have to go through. Thank you, Mr. French, for explaining and being upfront with us. I personally don't know why you didn't choose to rerun for your seat, so I wasn't going to just blatantly ask you to stay. But again, our process, from what I'm being told, is we need to open it up for applications. And if you felt you would want to apply to fill that seat for 1 more year, I say go for it. But as far as me, I want to make sure we follow our process for transparency reasons and fairness.
I am of the same opinion as Councilmember Brandon, that I would love to see Jason apply as an applicant, but I think opening it up to the residents that meet the criteria, I think is important as well. I think So I would be supportive of that. I'd like to maybe put a 2-week time limit on or something. So if we wanted to try to talk to these individuals prior to, if that's appropriate. I don't know if there's a timeline for submitting the applications or the resume.
So this process really belongs to the council. I mean, strictly speaking, the way that the code section reads that I read, submit a resume pursuant to any deadline that has been advertised by the village. So how you advertise, what you advertise is completely your decision. It can be as lengthy or as abbreviated as you feel is appropriate.
Well, I think opening up. Thank you to your family again. Because I think you're at the beginning. Like, it's a commitment. So I know, every time it's a family decision, right? Like I always, every term I've talked to the family, you guys do we want to do this for another 2 years? So again, thank you to them. But I do think as well, like opening up for application, then and having that actual process play out at March, it makes it more of a resident decision. I know that on the charter, because I think before, wasn't it, if it was like within 6 months or something, it would call a special election?
Before the charter review happened, yes, you had a very detailed process depending on when the vacancy occurred. It could either not be filled at all, or filled by appointment, or filled by special election, depending on, right, if it was like within so many months before the next municipal elections. You're correct. That all changed with the charter review.
So the residents voted to, put that on council, but I still think it's appropriate to have that just transparency and let the residents be involved in that process. So it's really, they're part of the decision, not just the 5 of us. But it does save us a lot of money and hassle with the special election. So I think that was a good change, right? Which I think, didn't you say that Jeremy, didn't you say that they're not really doing special elections anymore? Or that we could be turned down? Like it wasn't necessarily a guarantee that we would even get a special election too. So, I mean, at a minimum, the deadline would have to be the cutoff when the council agenda draft is due, which is usually like a week before the meeting. When's our next meeting? March 12th?
Yes, the election's on the 10th.
So like when would you, because those would be part of the agenda backup. Would you need those by like the second? Okay.
That would be the deadline.
So that's just over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I completely agree with all the comments, and the application should be out there, transparent to the residents. I do want to put a little note in there, in that because of completing my tenure, I'm basically gone almost all of March. So unless it was a virtual call-in interview, if I had to be somewhere, I most likely would not be able to make it in March, just for a note.
Well, we know you, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
you have one up there coming before us to interview. So I guess that would be put out the application process until the 2nd as a deadline, and then we would just see it in our agenda backup at that point. And I'm assuming the advertisements are normal, social media, the Friday news blast, anything else additional? I can't remember what we did last time.
Yeah, we'll just look at what we did last time, but all those were applicable, I think. Lori will have that, I'm sure, so.
All right, and what application are we using? Did we just use a P&Z? I can't remember what we used last time.
Committee, their generic committee application that we did.
Yeah, we have an application online that we do when we do the committees, and let's change it to village council. Unless there's anything specific that you guys want on there, any questions or, any of that, we can add questions if there's something specific you want, but it's pretty generic for the most part.
I have a legal question.
Yeah, it's the same application Lori's telling me, so.
Yes, Councilmember Brandon?
For someone to be appointed, do they have to be a resident for at least 1 year, like when you qualified
Yes.
to be a candidate?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's all the criteria is the same. So is a cover letter and resume required, or maybe a letter explaining why they want to do that? I feel
Yes.
like because I don't know that we got that last time.
I don't recall.
I don't recall.
It says resume and letter of interest.
Yeah, I think that item number 3 kind of tells.
That's not part of the application though.
Did
Like
we-
that criteria is not in the application.
That's in the
Lori can help. She's done this before. Let's let Lori weigh in on it.
Yeah.
It was not a requirement the last time because we had the charter review after that. So the criteria now is that you must submit a resume and letter of interest, so that would go along with the application.
Yeah, and you may not recall, we did the charter review and the charter revisions were adopted. And in the charter, it said that the criteria would be set by ordinance, and then we went to look in the code and realized there were no criteria in the code. So these criteria actually got adopted after the charter was approved. Some period of time after the charter amendments happened, we went in and said, there are no criteria by ordinance. So then we came back to you and we offered these and they were codified.
Okay, so that's why we didn't have that stuff the first time. So it'll be very clear that they have to submit the stuff for number 3.
I will include that in the application.
Okay. Does anyone want anything else added, or are you good?
I'm comfortable with what's up there.
Councilmember Brandon, you're good?
I am good.
Okay. Any public comment cards?
Yes, Marcia Nielsen.
Marcia?
I must be clairvoyant because I anticipated this, so I wrote it down. It would seem the most expedient action by the council to accept Council Member French's office to extend his tenure for a year. This would ensure continuity, and experience, and as such, I have no objection. However, I would caution the council not to succumb to what I'll call the Joe Capretta syndrome. Mr. Capretta spent 16 years on the council. Incumbents have an advantage during an election. It's uncomfortable to challenge a sitting council member. Open seats tend to bring out candidates that would not otherwise be incentivized to participate. This may well be the case in this situation. A resident, or perhaps residents, may well apply for an open seat for a year, as it would mean they would not have to launch a campaign or challenge an incumbent. Also, this would give Mr. French an advantage of 1 vote before he would vote for himself. So something to think about.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you. Any other public comment? No. And I think I do remember from when we did this last time that, there were people that were very clear that they didn't want to do it. They just wanted to help. And is that a question we could ask, or is that not permissible?
Is what the question?
Like, is your intent just to help for the year, or do you intend to continue? Or is that not permissible?
Oh, so for the appointment process,
Yeah.
if they intend to run at the next general election for the rest of the term, I think you can ask the question. There's there is something to be said for continuity, especially when you're talking about a period of a few months, and then not years and years and years, but in this case, you're talking about a 2-year term that you're basically cutting in half. And continuity might be something that you want to consider when you're making that appointment.
Yeah, and I remember we had that discussion last time before Mr. Bradford came on about because that was that was 4 months or something. You probably six, but so it, and that was a concern I remember when we were reviewing the applicants. But I will say we only have 1 person file for the seat, and that was very close to the cutoff for qualifying too. So at the same time, is anyone really gonna file to run to begin with when we had an open seat and there was you would have thought there'd be multiple people applying to run for that seat, and that didn't happen. So
We have a huge residence academy now, so maybe a new pool. I can tell you that I do not have an intent in running. Conditions always change, but I think you've seen from my current standing that I do not have an intent. But I would like to see the village continue on the path that it is.
And actually, I think that, as I think about this through your discussion, you would want to avoid the scenario where your appointee did not run and nobody else ran. Then you have another vacancy that you have to go through another appointment process and another election, which is probably something you would not want to have to do. So that, again, that continuity can be an important factor in this situation.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we would have to make a formal motion on the direction. This one.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we advertise the position of counsel for the 1 year, per the code, I should say, that it include the criteria that we're looking at on the board that's in the backup.
May I ask the clerk a question? Is the next general election going to be the November 2026 election?
I believe it will be, but it would be up to the supervisor of election if she wants to add to that.
Okay. So we need to, I guess, speak to the supervisor of elections office and explain where we are and so we are able to get on that ballot.
Sorry, so we were all assuming 1 year, but it's till November.
I was just,
Good catch, Keith.
yeah.
That's a good tidbit of information to know.
What do they do? I don't even know if they even entertain municipal elections.
If
at
they
the
would
general.
accept it, exactly.
generally-
Well, if she
That's
won't,
not-
then it would be the March 2027.
But we would ask. Yeah. So potential for November, but if not,
But
definitely.
that was a big, I remember, and I'm sure that Ms. Nielsen will remember, that was a big topic of discussion during the Charter Review Committee meetings about when this vacancy, the appointment would end. And the next general election did not necessarily have to be the next municipal election. It could be the next November election. So.
Good point. So we'll find out pretty fast
But
on
as the
that.
clerk indicates that, the supervisor of elections has control over that, Palm Beach County, so we need to confer with that office and see what they feel. If it's not available, then it's not available.
Okay. Sorry, your motion got cut off.
It's okay. Make a motion.
That's a really important tidbit.
Make a motion that we advertise for the position of counsel with the criteria that are reflected in the backup, and that the clerk will determine the actual date of the next election, if it's 1 year, or if it would be a general election in November of 2026. And the application should all be submitted by March 2nd.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Great.
Aye.
Any other matters? Anything else to discuss tonight, council?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Brandon?
No, ma'am.
I just want to say it again to Jason, thank you. I've learned a lot from you. I love the way you approach things, and I've learned a lot. So I think every day that we can say we learned something, it's a productive day, and I've had many of those days up here. So thank you again.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Philson.
I have nothing else to add.
Thank you, Mayor.
That motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Yes, ma'am. I remember last year.
Oh, that's right.
Vice